Hello and welcome to UnWine with Janet. Today I'll be making for you Jamaican style salt mackerel. Salt mackerel has a diverse taste and it can be prepared in many different ways. So watch to the end because I'll be sharing with you some tips on what it can be paired with and different ways to prepare it. Alright? So come let me show you how we do it. Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you one of the easiest way to make salt mackerel. And of course you're going to need your salt mackerel, bell pepper, tomato, scallion, onion, thyme, and a piece of Scotch Bonnet Pepper. And of course some oil for frying, some ketchup, all-purpose seasoning, your black pepper, and a few cloves of garlic. So to prepare the mackerel, I'm going to cut mine in half. If you have a larger pot, then you don't have to do that. And I usually pre-soak mine. So if I know that I'm going to be cooking mackerel the following day, I normally soak it overnight, or you can just soak it for a few hours. It doesn't have to be 24 hours. Now when you're adding the mackerel to the water doesn't have to be hot. You can add it to your cold water, cover it, and allow it to cook for at least 15 minutes on medium heat. You do not want to cook it on high heat because then when it starts boiling, definitely it's going to spill over on your stove. Now while the mackerel is cooking on the stove, we can go ahead and prepare all our vegetables and herbs. Now do not forget this part because this is what gives it that real flavor and aroma. So just imagine the flavor, the smell, and the taste of that slightly salty mackerel. You just can't beat that taste. Because the salt mackerel is so unique and flexible, it can be combined with just about anything. So for example, ackee. It can be combined with ackee, and I did an ackee and saltfish video, so you can take a look at that one to see how I did it. Salt mackerel can be combined with the ackee just the same way. And in Jamaica we have another dish called rendang, and I'll be doing a video showing you how to make rendang. The salt mackerel is the major component in the rendang recipe. Now when it comes on to what you can pair it with, in Jamaica we tend to pair it with, if we're having breakfast, fried dumpling, or we can do boiled dumpling with bananas, or even as an accompaniment to our dinner. Now this is what my bowl of all my vegetables and herbs put together look like. And now we're going to be removing the salt mackerel from the pot because we've been cooking it for at least 15 minutes. So after we remove it from the pot, I usually put it in a bowl of cold water to cool it down quickly, especially if I'm going to be using it immediately after taking it out of the pot. After removing it from the pot, there are a few steps that we're going to have to do because we're going to have to clean it and then debone it, and then we prepare it. So right here, I'm about to clean it, but I'm showing you on the skin of it, there's a little bit of membrane. It's very thin, and we're going to have to use the fork to just slightly scrape that off because you don't want to use that when you're frying it. As you can see, it's very tender, so whenever you're scraping the membrane off, you do not want to dig too deep because it can pull it totally apart. In the center, there's a bone and you have to get rid of that, and again you won't have any problem because it's cooked, it's soft, so everything will just slide off easily. One of the good things about preparing the salt mackerel is the bone is not too fine. It's very easy to take out, so if you have kids, it's very easy for you to get the bones out of it, so you don't have to worry about that. Now whenever I am preparing it, I do not use the head. There are people who like to include the head, but I'm not one of them. I separate the head and then use everything else. I should also let you know that this salt mackerel recipe is very easy to prepare, so you don't have to be afraid to give it a try, okay? So right here, I'm just picking out the rest of the loose bones that I'm seeing, and as you can tell, it's very easy. It doesn't have the fine bone like you'd have in snapper or any other fish. So now that I've gotten rid of all the bones, my next step is I'm going to be pulling it apart. So in Jamaica, we say pick it up. So when we pick up the mackerel, it means that we're pulling it apart. And we want to do that and have some large chunks. You do not want to get them too fine because when you're eating it, you want to taste the actual salt mackerel and not just find pieces in your mouth, okay? So now that we've gotten everything prepared, that's our vegetables and herbs and the salt mackerel, we're gonna put it all together. So in a heated skillet, you add a generous amount of oil because we're not gonna be using water for the sauce. It's just gonna be the oil. We allow that to heat, and after that, we're gonna add all our vegetables and herbs and saute for about 2 minutes. Now this is my favorite part of the cooking process with all those colors and the fragrance that's coming from it. It's out of this world. Now I also forgot to mention that you don't have to worry about remembering anything here because the recipe along with instructions will be in the description below, okay? Now after we've gotten everything sauteed for about 2 minutes, we're going to be adding the salt mackerel to the mixture. I should also point out that the salt mackerel is pretty tasty even before it's added to the vegetables. You should give it a try because that's one of my favorite parts. I always tend to save the bones for last because that's what I enjoy. Now after we've added everything, we spread it out in the pot and then we add our powdered seasoning along with the ketchup. And this is just going to give it an extra kick to give it more flavor and more taste along with the vegetables and herb that's in there. So I added the all-purpose seasoning, the black pepper, and now I'm adding some ketchup. The ketchup is optional. If you do not want to add it, you don't have to because everything else gives it that flavor. But I'm one of those persons who cooks with ketchup most of the time. So all you have to do now is just give it a good stir to make sure that everything is combined in it, and then you're going to cover that. Because the salt mackerel is already cooked, it's not like you're going to be recooking it. You're just covering it so that it can absorb all the different flavors from the herb and the seasoning. And that's basically what it is. You cover about for 2 minutes, and you can put it on low heat this time because as I said, it's already cooked. Remember earlier I had mentioned that if you want to add ackee, you could. So this is a stage where you would add your ackee, cover, and let it cook for a few minutes. Now, so this is what your final product should look like, okay? So enjoy. So go ahead and give it a try and let me know how it turned out. Leave your comments in the comment box. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you liked this video. And if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss next week's video. What good? Till me see you next time, alright?